Spinning in wakeboarding used to be clear cut. The edge was either heel side or toe side, the rotation was either front side or back side, and the axis was either on or off. For a few years now, there's been a strong momentum towards blurring the axis of spins. In other words, you can't tell if the spin is on or off axis. Before I go any further, I want to say that these spins don't have any special name. They aren't blurred axis 540s or anything like that. I'm just using the word blurring as a verb describing what it's doing to the trick, not as an adjective describing the trick itself. If you're confused, just remember, a 540 is a 540 is a 540. Okay, so what exactly am I talking about here? Look at these clips. Obviously, Robert's rotation on the left isn't anywhere near the off-axis rotation happening on the right side. This becomes equally apparent when viewing the shots from a side angle. Now, let's compare the traditional on-axis spin to Robert's 540. When you take a look at the nose of the board in both sides, you can easily see that the rotation is different between the two tricks. When they're at 180, Robert, on the left, has his nose slightly dipped, where Chad, on the right, always keeps the board in front of him and has his nose pointing up. Once again, you can see this happening from the side angle. So as you can see, the 540 spin that Robert is throwing really blurs the axis between on and off. Okay, so why would someone want to blur the axis on their 540? I can think of two good reasons off the top of my head. The first is because it makes it easier to spin higher rotations. Besides the handle pass, the two most important factors in making big rotations is spinning fast and setting a good axis. With these blurred axis spins, the beginning acts like an off-axis spin, which sets up your axis easily. But you flatten off just enough in the air to where you can really crank up your spin revolutions. The other reason is because it just looks cool. There's always something about a minimalist approach that always looks impressive. Less is almost always more. I'll end off with a few tips on how to pull this type of spin. Usually it helps quite a bit if you already know how to do an off-axis spin. From there it's easily accomplished by just mellowing out your axis. Focus on letting the board out slightly behind you, but keep it in tight. Don't let it get way out away from you into off-axis land. Another method would be just try to do an on-axis rotation and maybe put a bit more weight on your rear foot and your toes at takeoff. This will throw you into a slight off-axis tilt. But remember, if you don't know how to do off-axis spins, then you might not be able to utilize this off-axis momentum and you might just go off-axis onto your face.